The title is BIM Implementation Case Studies from Bulgari Jewelry Factory to Residences in Masdar. Here are the class summary. I hope that anybody read it. And now the learning objectives. Discover a BIM implementation strategy, understand the investments needed for BIM implementation, learn how to set up and identify a BIM pilot project, and learn how to resolve BIM implementation issues. I start with a little presentation of my company. Open Project is an engineering and architectural firm founded in 1984 in Italy, in Bologna, with 50 professionals, more or less. And our offices are in, of course, in Bologna, the headquarters, and another one in Milan, in Baghdad, and Abu Dhabi. And now, I'm Giacomo Bergonzoni. I'm engineer, BIM manager at Open Project. I'm passive house designer, certified passive house designer, and I'm pretty active on social media. If you look at the top 500 influencer on Twitter about BIM implementation, BIM building information modeling, you can find me. And so if you want ask me a question, you can also do it through LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Google+. And now for Ghost learning objectives, because I'm really nervous. I'm going to take early revenge, showing you that also English-speaking people do wrong things sometimes, because I'm going to do a lot of bad pronunciation in English. So now I show you just in one moment some pronunciation, a spell that in English you say like spaghetti bolognese, but you can trust me, I'm Italian, I'm from Bologna. We doesn't have this this dish in Bologna. We don't have this dish. We call it tagliatelle al ragù, and also we don't drink cappuccino in the afternoon. And the Bologna that you call Bologna actually is the name of my city, and but we call it mortadella. In the end, the Bulgari, in Italy we say Bulgari. So the right pronunciation of Bulgari, in this presentation I'm going to say Bulgari, because it will be probably the only word right pronounced in English from me. So after these pathetic excuses, we can go further and start to the presentation. Implementing BIM in theory. Let's think about if BIM was a car. Why do you want a new car? Maybe you want to be cool, you want the new technology, or you are not, is not enough, what do you have, or you want a status symbol. And for BIM could be the same thing. So why do you want to be BIM? And there are a lot of motivations like this, and if you want, you can go to my Twitter account, you can reply to the poll that I put in my Twitter account, and I ask you, what are your first two motivation to implement BIM? And also McGraw-Hill Construction Research Analytics asked this question to the market in 2007, 10 years ago. But I think the answer will be the same also right now. So the first factor is less time drafting, more time designing. And the second one is owners demanding it in on their projects. So let's start and let's buy this new BIM car that is useful for opening new horizons with BIM. So it is important that your motivation are strong enough for a medium-long-term investment, and don't know whether at the first sign of difficulty, as this will definitely present themselves early in the process. So this BIM car will take you to discover over other path. And now I will show you why this BIM car is why the BIM car is so expensive. Because it's composed by a lot of parts, 4 parts, and we can think about the engine is like the process of BIM implementation, and the steering wheel are the people of the BIM process, of the BIM implementation, and the wheels, the policy, and the body is the technology. So the BIM car is composed by these 4 parts. Let's start with the technology. The technology, the body is what makes up the shape of the BIM car. It's the first thing you can see and what you remember. And the body is also what absorbs the shock on impact. So the technology is the first subject we think of when considering BIM implementation. Choosing the right technology can significantly decrease the chance of errors. This includes both hardware and software. Start with the hardware, and let's talk about the process. The engine enables the first function of the BIM car to move. A BIM car without an engine is only nice to see, but completely useless. So the process is crucial to BIM implementation, and we are going to look at it in a single project process and in an organization process. So you know, if you have an organization with only Revit users, but your processes are the same as when you work in AutoCAD, you will never have a return on investments. Because BIM is not 3D CAD. You've probably seen that McLeamy curve before. It gets trotted out in every slide deck promoting BIM, IPD, or early stage environmental analysis. The key point is that architects spell their effort at a time when design changes are relatively costly. Design with BIM forces the project team to anticipate the choices and the first stage of the design process when the design changes are relatively cheap. And you can also see this this diagram. It's when you start using BIM or Revit in a pilot project. You have to do, first of all, templating, Revit standard, protocol, template, and workflow that take a lot of time. So here in the diagram you can see 3 different curves. The BIM plus template workflow, the BIM without templates, and the traditional 2D CAD workflow. This could have a strong impact on the project manager. They usually see more results at the beginning of the design process. With BIM, they should need to have patience and understand the project design will be further revised with more speed and control. Also, if we look at the organization process, you can see here the diagram that show you the current capability, point 1, and the desired capability, point 2. The dashed line, number 3, is what the management aspect. That is really impossible, because the implementation is you have a downtime, so a time that your capability decrease. Could be from 2 to 5 years, depending how many projects and how many people you involve in the implementation. And the curve 5 is the optimal curve, and it is if you have a good BIM implementation strategy and a good BIM manager. For this reason, the organization's management must be aware that BIM implementation is a long drive and involves a temporary loss of productivity. And now, the BIM car could be the most powerful of the world, but still need a steering wheel to go from one place to another. Power is nothing without control. The people are the key factor of all kinds of change management. This is also the case for BIM implementation. And you can think to outsource BIM. I don't suggest it, because if your core business is design, BIM is a design method, so it's weird to outsource your core business. From this diagram, you can see that you are going, if you outsource BIM, you are going to do the work 2 times at least. So I suggest you to create your own BIM team. It's a good idea to set up a BIM team that work directly for the BIM implementation in your organization, and that could be also give you, this could also give you the possibility to expand your market doing BIM management for a complex project for third parties. And you can try to find your BIM manager inside. Should have a lot of skills. You can, but you have to choose him well, because the skills of the BIM manager are proficiency with instruments, knowledge of AEC process, year of experience. That is most important, I think. For this reason, it's hard to find it inside your company if you are starting right now to implement BIM. Managerial skills and team working skills. And the BIM team is made up of BIM manager, BIM coordinators, and BIM technicians. It's a parallel organization chart that must be completely integrated with the pre-BIM organization chart. And you are going to have more people in your office, because BIM gives you more possibility to control and do high quality design, but requires more complex management than CAD. And also a BIM technician is more expensive than a CAD technician, because CAD has a relatively low entry level and a short learning time. Here you can see the difference between yearly salary of a senior CAD technician, a junior BIM technician in London. And now we talk about training. I suggest you to avoid general training, but focus on specific project that we can call pilot project. And start training people that enjoy learning, sharing knowledge, collaborating, good attitude to learning software, because the CAD learning curve is really different of the BIM one. The first trained people should be a good example to hold the office. putting the foundation of the BIM team. The BIM authoring tools learning curve is the same of new technologies, and disillusionment is a part of the process. It can also cause panic. Therefore, you need a skilled professional who know how to deal with it. So, if you want to save money, you can find a BIM manager who is also a trainer. So he has training skills, so he can do inside training. And now the policy, the BIM cars wheels can make it faster or slower. The policy can help or hinder BIM implementation, both in terms of national policy or organization's policy. Here are some examples of how national policy can help, like making BIM compulsory, or financing investment in ultra-fast broadband for helping collaboration, or giving incentives to invest in new technologies, like our region in Italy done this year. Also, you can see the Digital Build Britain strategy, or the MBC BIM toolkit. That is a free project management tool. It is an indispensable way of delivering projects to meet the UK requirements of BIM level 2. And also the Italian standard UNI BIM standard that I'm participating in the draft. Organization policy approach for BIM implementation must be top-down, otherwise it doesn't take you anywhere. So BIM manager is a kind of politician between manager and designer. And now the crash test of your brand new BIM car is the pilot project. You need to choose the right pilot project with the right size, that is the medium small size, and also choose the right complexity. If you see the illustration, this architect tried to start learning Revit with a small renovation project, and I don't suggest it, because here in Italy we have a lot of renovation projects, but we start with a new design, because the renovation projects have a lot of complexity. And choose the right specialist consultants. For example, in the illustration, the consultant has only the Revit 2014 right now with the new license of AutoCAD. We don't have this problem, but you need to find. Be sure to carefully review a potential consultant BIM experience and skills before choosing to work with them. Otherwise, your work is going to be like this kid, continually recreating the model that somebody else destroyed, because it is not good with Revit with BIM. Choose the right model uses. The appeal to implement BIM is wide and varied, such as the possibility to generate construction sequence simulation, class detection, sustainability analysis, as well as other sophisticated workflow that involves the use and aid of the secondary software. And also Bilal Sukar, the BIM researcher, Australian BIM researcher, classified 125 model uses. There are a lot. But for the pilot project, I suggest you to focus on design authoring model use. Is the way to have 2D documentation from the 3D model, because in the pilot project you have other kind of problem. The main goal is to deliver the same traditional output for a project with the same quality but with Revit model. Your project team are going to have these kind of problems without thinking about like 5D BIM or 6D BIM. And successful pilot project output are these three. A success story, because a finished project which demonstrates not only that it is possible to produce quality, but that the 3D which generate 2D drawings can do some much more and offers very rich information about the project. Here, for example, our success story for the Bulgari factory, the finalist at AEC Excellence Awards 2016. And you have a starting point from which your BIM team can develop a Revit template from libraries, standards, or workflow. And in the end, the third output is an experienced BIM team. So a new BIM team with Revit skills and experience. After the pilot, once you have finished your pilot project and have its outputs, how can you make the most of an investment you have made? So the way is adding model users and establishing tool ecology. So another time, like we saw before, there are hundreds of model users. Where should you start? Dominic Holzer from Australia asked that to over 40 design technologists and BIM leaders around the world, and the answer was clear. If you want to do BIM right, you need to think about the client first. So define new model users with your client and start a new pilot project with these new model users. For new model users, when you should be aware that it's probably that your BIM enabling tool is not the better choice to get the goal. Most of the time, the model use is specialized and involves the use of specific tool. So establish the tool ecology and find the best workflow, thinking about and you have to think about these 4 themes: deep knowledge of process, project peculiarity, particular client's requests, and team skill level. And now is the time of implementing BIM. The implementing BIM is in practice. Here we have our pilot project. The Bulgari factory is 15,000 square meter and was inaugurated in March 2017. We did from the feasibility study to construction supervision. We did a federated model with architecture. This one is for architecture, this one for structures. We have precast structures and cast in place structures and facades. We have this that we call skin, is a steel structure. In the end, very complex MEP systems with 22 HVAC on the top of the building and a lot of piping and ducting. Now, in the video, you can listen to Luca Drago, who is an open project partner. Unfortunately, he could not be present because he is in our office in Abu Dhabi. At the time, I did not speak an excellent English as it now, so I'm subtitled. So you will listen to my Italian voice.
Project is an engineering and architectural firm from Bologna, and we basically take care of all the phases of design, from conceptual design to detailed design up to site supervision and the handover to the final client. The brief from the client was to try to incorporate, of course, all the needs that they had in terms of production, safety, and convey anyway the idea of their great message, the brand, which is of course well known all over the world. So Bulgari asked us to be careful, and we tried to work with them in order to deliver a project which would incorporate these two ideas very strongly. The building is composed of two main parts. So one is the manufacturing site, and the original house of one of the first goldsmiths in Valencia, which was extended with what's called a glass house, which incorporates the hall and all the reception areas for the guests. Given the constraints, we had a very tight schedule, both for design and for construction. We needed to actually work very hard and trying to, merge all the instances that came from architecture, MEP, and structures. Of course, since the beginning, BIM looked like the best idea.
Utilizzando Autodesk AEC Collection abbiamo sviluppato un modello sul quale puoi coordinare tutte le discipline. Con i workset più di 10 persone sono riuscite a lavorare contemporaneamente sullo stesso modello.
Basically, starting from the beginning with the lean consultants, we worked together, and of course Autodesk Revit helped us because we could incorporate all the information coming from the lean organization process and the workflow together with the architecture.
BIM è stato importante anche per la fase di computazione. Infatti abbiamo usato Revit per estrapolare tutte le quantità del modello e porle poi in base di gara per selezionare l'impresa. Il processo BIM ci ha aiutato anche a ottenere la certificazione LEED. I software che ci hanno aiutato ad ottenere questa certificazione sono stati Revit, Insight 360 e Dynamo.
Manufacture facility is enclosed in what we call an architectural skin, which is composed of aluminum panels 6 meters from the building. This helps us to keep a clean image of the building, whatever happens inside.
Per creare la struttura esterna metallica dell'edificio abbiamo usato un programma Autodesk Advanced Steel che sviluppa strutture metalliche fino al dettaglio. Successivamente abbiamo importato questo progetto nel modello 3D Revit e questo ci ha consentito di risparmiare molto tempo. Allo stesso modo creare le liste dei componenti, tutte le varie distinte, è un'operazione molto semplice e ci permette di ottenere risultati molto vantaggiosi.
Abbiamo utilizzato Navisworks per fare una simulazione 4D del cantiere. Grazie a questa simulazione abbiamo potuto verificare le possibili interferenze durante la costruzione del fabbricato.
We also took advantage of the Autodesk online rendering services because it helped us a lot during the initial stages of the design to present realistic images of what the building would look like in the end to the client.
Nel caso di Bulgari abbiamo toccato con mano il miglioramento rispetto al processo tradizionale. Infatti, grazie al BIM, siamo riusciti a coordinare le diverse discipline, sincronizzando un unico modello 3D e diminuendo il rischio di errore e velocizzando i tempi.
BIM, of course, helped us a lot because it could integrate all these inputs and information coming from all different fields.
Okay. This was our pilot project, and now we are going to see our model uses, starting with BIM for visual communication and virtual reality simulation, as you heard in the video. If you want, so VR is an excellent marketing tool. Using it with client generates much enthusiasm, as it is new and very cool way to entice them. Try to scan the QR code with AU app, and you will be inside the Bulgari glass house. Also, you can do it with other QR code scanner. The entrance, the glass house is the entrance of the headquarters. I consider renderings and animation BIM side effects, because you cannot pursue BIM technology only to achieve those outcomes, but the BIM process gives you the possibility to have those right away. And here another is a factory headquarter of a corporation that design reducers, and we did these animations. This place is close to Bologna, and we have at the right side the new plant, and the tall building is the new headquarter, and the restaurant, and the R&D space, R&D building. And we did this inside of Revit with the Revit plugin of Lumion, and we did this animation inside our BIM workflow. And here another BIM model use, solar analysis. We did it with Autodesk Online rendering service. The model, of course, we already had the model, and we sent it to the cloud, and in like 20 minutes we had this animation with the solar analysis inside the solar study inside the glass house. Here another study for the skin of the factory. We study how the sunshade can impact the building, and also the BIM for concrete precasting and construction logistic, because after the delivery of detailed design of a Bulgari factory, Open Project was involved during the construction supervision phase, and we decided to do a BIM 4D to have time simulation of the construction phases of precast concrete on site. And this simulation was helpful to manage site safety and logistic. We learned that we could use 2 teams to build the concrete structure faster without interferences. And the BIM for thermal analysis and LEED certification. BIM and LEED have the same goals: efficiency, quality, and sustainability of buildings. The Bulgari Jewelry Factory is LEED Gold, and this certification was achieved thanks to the BIM process. We was selected to present our method of LEED credit calculation at international conference AEC PPM 2016, and in this case Open Project explored the use of BIM for the mechanical design following the LEED indoor environmental qualification. and the automation of calculus for the verification process with the use of Dynamo Visual Scripting tool for the data exchange between Autodesk Revit and electronic spreadsheets. So we push the data from Revit to Excel and a return. And also here another project is the business park in Milan. We had to redesign like 10 blocks, and starting with this concept, a preliminary design of a multi-story car park. Here we did BIM for parametric modeling. We use Dynamo for design these facades. And here the challenge was to design a curtain wall that had 3 different types of panels and put them in a random manner. This randomization has to be controlled. The percentage of open facade must be 75% or higher, otherwise the car park could not be defined as open for our local law. You can see now the 3 panels, the different type of panels, and then you can see the click of run in Dynamo, and the elevation will change. There are like 700 panels for each elevation. Here the student hotel is also a project in Bologna, 20,000 square meter, and it is in progress right now. And here we did BIM for laser scanning. It was we did the point cloud of the existing building. Here you can see in recap the 3 stories, the 3 floors. Here in recap the panorama photo, the panorama picture where you can take measure. And then we put this recap point cloud inside Revit, and we recreate the model, the existing model inside Revit for structure, because we did the structure analysis for this. So in the left side you have the existing phase, in the right side the 2 new stories on the top. And here the static structural analysis with Revit was a pre-design, but we use the analytical model of Revit, and we export it in Italian software for seismic structural analysis. Because we are in seismic region, we have to do seismic analysis. In the end, the residences in Masdar City. You know, the Masdar City is the most sustainable city in the world, and our goal was to design these residences compliant with Masdar Energy Design Guidelines and STDAMA, that is like lead for United Arab Emirates. So we did BIM for energy utilization and lighting analysis. The energy utilization we use for the energy utilization we use inside 360, and for light analysis, obviously light analysis for Revit. So for energy utilization, we start with the reference modeling the reference building compliant with ASHRAE 19.1, And then we design our project, our building, the target building that should be use only alpha of energy of the target build of the reference building. So thanks to Inside 360, we can found the part of the building most important that have most impact in the energy of the building. And then the lighting analysis for the thanks to the schedules of Revit, we had always control of glass facade of the building that they must be not more than 30% for the STDAMA certification. And then we study the configuration of windows with the sunshade, without sunshade, and with the opaque baluster. And then with different size of window in 3 different hours and in 4 different days for the STDAMA certification. We did 108 analysis inside lighting analysis for Revit. And then we discovered that no sunshade was the best way to reach 2 credits for STDAMA. But we discovered also that we had over-illumination of this apartments, and so we decided to analyze only 1 apartment, and we create a model of 1 apartment, and we try to 4 different configurations of window, and then we did other 48 analysis, and we discovered that horizontal window can reach 2 credits too, and we don't have the over illumination. So we put this configuration another time inside the building model, and we also put 60% of sunshade, and we did other 12 analysis. So we reached our the result was 2 credits for STDAMA certification with no over illumination, without over illumination. So in the end, a BIM car without fuel is stuck, and BIM implementation without research is intended to stop or going nowhere. So the suggestion here is keep strengthening workflow and standards. BIM has its own process with its specific tools. So it is important to upgrade the standards. And another suggestion is doing partnership with a local university that are a great resource to refuel your research team. For example, Open Project have a partnership with Bologna University, with Venice University, Rome, Pisa, and Ferrara that have also BIM Master. And our research theme, principal main research themes are connected to BIM, like Smart City, HBIM, Lead for BIM, Structural BIM, and BIM in the concept design. So the BIM is actually an innovation. If we see the Gartner hype cycle for emerging technologies, you can't find BIM. You can find like connected home, machine learning, augmented reality. But so I put the BIM in the plateau productivity because BIM is in the way of standardization and is used in professional world. So BIM is innovation driver or enabler. Today BIM is a driver of innovation. You can stay on the AEC market without BIM. You are less efficient, qualitative and sustainable, but you can still give the customer the indispensable minimum. But in the future, Internet of Things, machine learning, augmented reality and other new technology will be the standard. And all this innovation have a common ground, that the idea that buildings are equals to data. So the BIM approach is intended to be not an innovation driver, but an innovation enabler in the future. So buy your BIM card today, ensure that it has enough gas, and you will have a means that you will open many roads for you in the future. Maybe you are going to open new horizon over BIM with a BIM spaceship, we'll see. So thank you for your attention and your patience. So see you during this amazing week. Any questions?
Is it possible to have some images of your projects just published, not for this?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it possible? Okay. Is it possible to have some pictures or high-resolution images of your projects and the different stages of BIM implementation to publish? Because I'm working for a newspaper and we have to publish it in paper, so we need more than a cell phone photograph.
Okay.
I don't know if I can ask you by your Twitter account or something.
Yeah, but thank you for the question. But you can find some images. I don't know if high resolution, but quite good in the AU website. You can find my presentation, this one. You can download in PDF, and also my my paper, my handout.
Okay, so which is the site you mentioned? Open project? No.
No, the site is Autodesk University.
Okay. Okay. You have we have the presentation there.
Yeah.
Of course, thank you.
Good morning. My question would be how many time or how much time do you spend making this inside capacitation or teaching the members of your team, or is it just on the go when you're making the project? Or I mean, if you have like a plan, or you do schedules? Or
Okay, thank you for the question. Good question. I suggest you to focus on a project. So the idea and what I do right now is training people that are working in a BIM project, because our company is not full BIM right now, but we are trying to expand to make more people inside the BIM team. So in the project that we design with Revit, I do this training like two times a month, with focus on specific tools of Revit, or of course is coherent coherent of the stage of the design that we are, and and also I do training outside of my office, in the university and in other courses for professional, and sometimes also my colleagues. I suggest my colleagues to come with me in my course in my courses outside our office. Thank you. Okay, if you have more questions in the future, you can ask me through social network if you want. Okay, thank you very much.